We're here. It's the 34th day of the government shutdown. It's about 15 degrees, 0 below wind chill, and these workers continue to suffer. Trump owns the shutdown, yes, and he's using the federal workers as pawns, and it's not right. And it's immoral. Working without pay, that's called involuntary servitude, and we got rid of that 150 years ago. But this president, he's brought involuntary servitude back, and he's dividing the nation over a hateful agenda.
We are here with our members who are affected by the government shutdown and our allies in other unions and community groups. This hostage taking of the federal government, this hostage taking of the American people cannot be tolerated. We will not tolerate it, and we are organizing to end the shutdown now. End the shutdown now. End the shutdown.
Congress is supposed to fund the government every year and come up with a budget, and a number of times, and this year it has probably been the worst year in my 30 years of working for the government, that they did not come up with a budget for a number of agencies. And so we are not able to come to work because our agencies have no money. And it's really I think it really comes down to an immigration plan, and which is being used as a reason to bargain for what the executive branch wants.
My name is Brian Orozco. I'm a civil rights attorney, and I think it's deplorable that the government is holding hostage all these jobs for all these workers, making them work for nothing. By demonizing immigrants, it's his only justification for building that wall, which is absolutely deplorable. As a Mexican American, I'm embarrassed. My family came here as immigrants, some legally, some illegally, but at the end of the day, we made this country what it is, better.
Good afternoon. My name is Lori McCann, and I'm the president of NTU Chapter 10. And what I would like to say to you today is that although the government is shut down, our bills are not shut down. And it's not fair that we're not getting paid. So I would also just like to say that we are dedicated federal employees. We are hurting. We just want to go back to work, and we want to get paid for the work that we do. Thank you.
Is the fact that this is also based on a pretext of lies about the nature of immigration and migrants coming to our country, who they are, why they're here, whether or not they're a danger to everyday Americans. Most of us are aware that they are not a danger to everyday Americans. They are contributing to our economy. They are building lives and families here in the U.S., and that is something for which we should be grateful. The fact that this whole thing is predicated on racist, reactionary rhetoric from his campaign is disgusting, and it is dangerous. We cannot allow this to take hold in our country. We have to stop it in its tracks. We have to turn this around. We have to come together. We got to fight for public workers. We got to fight for immigrants and their families. We got to keep the working class together and working and strong. And that is what billionaires, alleged billionaires like Trump, don't want to see.
Well, I mean, as a worker, I have a second mortgage payment to make now at the first of this coming month in February, and I haven't been getting paychecks. And I've got a daughter in college, and that's a hardship for me. My parents were immigrants, and I do believe there should be a path to citizenship for people because my own parents were immigrants. And I also, as a taxpayer, that's where I really feel the worst about this, because I feel like you're deconstructing the government. You're shutting down agencies that should be helping the taxpayers, and that is the thing that really bothers me the most, that we can just do that. Like, how many months are we going to be shut down? I think if you look at the agencies, there are some agencies that are funded, and if you look at the agencies that are not funded, for instance, a lot of our natural resource agencies and others, regulatory agencies, you know, inspections. You might see a pattern to what types of agencies are not open right now.
But it has to be done the right way because, you know, if you reward Trump and McConnell for taking hostages this time, then they're going to take hostages again with the debt ceiling fight in March. They're going to take hostages again. You know, every time that he hits a speed bump, we're going to be right back here shouting. So, you know, when I see all the signs saying jobs not furloughs, I completely 100% agree with that, but I want to make absolutely certain that it needs to be done in this particular way, that it needs to be done without funding for the racist wall, that it needs to be done in such a way that we retain our alliances with other members of, you know, the broadly put the resistance. So that's what it means. That's what I'm trying to say. Everybody wants to say end the shutdown, and I want to end the shutdown, but I want to end the Trump shutdown. I want to end the McConnell shutdown. I want to make absolutely clear what it is that I'm here to say.
I took this job 30 years ago because I wanted to serve the public and protect people's health and the environment. And there's a number of agencies that, you know, in Interior and the EPA, which is not an Interior, but the EPA, Forest Service, the Fish and Wildlife Service, and a number of others that are you know, not at work protecting the environment like the taxpayers are paying for and what they expect, and also for, you know, protecting people's health and the different agencies that inspect food and things. And so we really want to go back to work helping the public and looking after the health and of the public. EPA, we protect the air and the water, and many other agencies as well, and wildlife. So we really would like to go back to work for the public.
No paychecks, no peace. No paychecks, no peace.
My name is Sam Kitchen, local president, 3652 at MCC Chicago. We are at MCC Chicago a group of about 230 employees who are forced to go to work and receive no paycheck. Now come Monday, the 28th, that will be our second full paycheck missed, which means we will now lose our vision insurance, we will now lose our dental insurance, we will now lose our long care plan that we use to help our parents that might need elderly care, home care, retirement care, and everything else. We lose that come Monday. That's gone. Wow. Now, I would like to give a nice thank you to Amy at the Greater Chicago Food Depository, who worked with our Employees Club, who deposited 100 boxes of food because we have staff in need that can no longer afford groceries, and we are now relying on the food banks. Next week, when we don't get paid again and we cannot afford gas to come to work, or we cannot afford to pay $40 a day to park, who is going to supervise the inmate population? I don't know, but when we can't come to work, you can't just lock them in a cell and say forget about them. We have nurses who cannot come to work. Who is going to provide insulin and medication for the inmate population when they are not there? We have the food foremen who cannot come to work. Who is going to cook for the inmate population when they cannot come to work? We got staff that cannot afford to come to work because they cannot pay their daycare. Now that daycare provider is not getting a check either now. So it's not just affecting federal workers, it is affecting millions of people. It needs to stop now. We are not pawns in this political BS. I don't care who has more clout in DC, whether it be Trump or Pelosi. Sit down at the table, negotiate, and if they don't know how to negotiate, I'll be happy to go to DC and give them a basic negotiation class in 101. Employees right now who have to work 40 hours a week, no pay, now they are getting side jobs working 30 hours a week to make ends meet, and now they got to go back to work and take a chance of being mandated and work an additional 16 hours.
No paycheck, no peace. No paycheck, no peace.
Trump has shown as an individual, and then by extension his administration, shown such incredible hostility to working people. And this is the latest and most dangerous manifestation of that. It's disrespecting the public workforce. It is going to be a hit on the economy. And it is pushing good people out of the federal workforce who are probably not going to come back. It is probably intended to be a pretext ultimately for privatizing the federal workforce. It is putting people in danger with dirty air, dirty water, uninspected food, uninspected bags, uninspected planes. I mean, it's putting the general public at risk, and not to mention the instability for families that are going to be evicted from their homes, either because they're not getting funding from HUD or because they're federal employees themselves who can't make rent. Also, just instability for families that are not going to get food stamps, aren't going to get other supports that the federal government is normally providing and should provide. And Trump doesn't care about any of that. I think he's probably personally pretty delighted. He does not care about average Americans, and definitely working people, and definitely not the public sector.
End the shutdown! When do we want it? Now! When do we want it? End the shutdown! When do we want it? Now! When do we want it?
We don't believe that this is right. It's not fair. It is creating a crisis within our borders, talking about a wall at a border.
Right!
And as a result of this effort, we are urging every senator, don't take a paycheck until these people who are government workers get their checks.
Tomorrow will mark the second paycheck that over 800,000 Americans, 800,000 federal employees will receive a paycheck that has zero on it.
Ridiculous!
As long as there's no paycheck, there will be no peace. We will continue to rally and speak out.
What do we want? End the shutdown! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? End the shutdown! And when do we want it? Now! To work! And get paid! We want to work! And get paid! We want to work! And get paid!
Trump cannot and should not build this wall. The wall is a fiction. It is a deeply racist idea. The wall is a lie. And it's a lie to trigger people's hatred of immigrants. And that is evil, and that is wrong. And Congress is right to reject this out of hand. And Mitch McConnell and Senate Republicans need to use the power that is in their hands to pass bills that do not include funding for a wall, override a presidential veto, and let's get on with doing the people's work.